What I've got this morning is basically quite a brief statement, but I think it's really an important statement in relation to the future of sport for all and physical activity. And I would like to use the United Kingdom as an example of what I'm going to be saying over the next few minutes. The Chief Medical Officer in the United Kingdom suggests that for adults we should be striving for at least 30 minutes of moderate physical activity on at least 5 days per week, and for children it's 1 hour per day every day. And I'm sure collectively in this room we would all agree with that guidance. However, activity levels for children in the United Kingdom, and I'm sure we're not unique in this, are not actually measured. And for our adult population, we measure our participation rates annually. So only once every year is there a national survey in the UK to see how active our adult population is, and not at all for our children. So on the one hand, our Chief Medical Officer is saying sport and physical activity is really important. However, we're not actually regularly monitoring just how active our population is. Some of the barriers to our targets being achieved: we would have a lack of facilities, so some of our school facilities are not conducive to enable our children to be regularly active. We don't have enough community centres and leisure centres. Our urban planners often don't take into consideration the need for people to be active when they are designing our city infrastructure. So we don't have enough cycle lanes, our pathways are not conducive to people who want to walk regularly, so they're not suitable for active transport. We have a shortage of qualified instructors and activators who can lead our sessions, because if we are trying to engage with whole populations, we need a larger workforce and volunteers who can lead our activity classes. We need to have the appropriate tools to regularly monitor and check on participation levels. So we need to engage with our academic experts in our universities around the world who can check on how active our people are. We tend to have a poor or no communication plan in terms of reaching out to people who are physically inactive. In this room, we are champions of sport and physical activity. We all believe in the importance of sport and physical activity. But the majority of our populations are inactive. They're not engaged in sport and activity. They don't understand the benefits that we speak about. And yet we tend to use what I would describe as a scattergun approach to trying to engage with people. We may use posters and leaflets, advertise on the radio or on local media, but we never actually check what's the impact of that marketing. Is it reaching people who are inactive? Is it helping to motivate people who are inactive to take that first step to becoming physically active? And one of the key ones that I'm going to mention now are budgetary constraints and financial pressures. And in the public sector, and my experience, there are increasing financial pressures on budgets that relate to sport and physical activity. So, my proposed change from today's statement: for a long time, sport and recreation and public health have had a gentle approach to trying to persuade people to become physically active. We regularly speak and preach about how important an active lifestyle is to people's health and well-being, to their physical health and to their mental health. But our services are non-statutory. So municipalities in the United Kingdom and in many places around the world don't have to provide sport and physical activity services. So part of what I'm suggesting today is the importance of engaging with politicians to buy into our message so that when decisions are being made around budgets, they are on our side. So our proposed change is to make physical activity and sport a statutory service. What we want is for central government to work with our municipalities, to engage with local populations and cities. Every city should have a target to reach. Every city should have their strategy which sets out their action plan on precisely what they are going to do to make their populations more active and engaged in sport. Those targets must also be demonstrated and shown to regions and nationally on how we are progressing. So at the moment where we have a target of 5 times 30 per week, it's not being monitored effectively. That needs to change. We also call upon our municipalities and governments to provide adequate facilities and increased provision of instructors and activators. What we say is that local and central government should work hand in hand with all of the key partners and key stakeholders. So my statement for discussion is why sport and physical activity should become a statutory service for municipalities and cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much.